Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this one we're going to be looking at what's happened since week 1 of the 8th edition hype train. So all the information that we've had from Games Workshop's community site, and we'll have a quick skim through what's going on and any new insights to the new edition. So a couple of big bits really then. So the big first part really is the morale mechanic revealed. This is the sort of the last phase of the game that we haven't seen so far, so that completes sort of all our playing phases. We've had some Warzone background information, we've had some rules on our old favourite Catachan Slime Arbo, and information on battle-forged armies and how that generates command points and sort of force organisation information. And then finally we've had some information on how larger models are going to be handled, and specifically, you know, we can now see the greater than 10 characteristic coming through in the stat lines. So starting with morale then, this is going to happen once per player turn after all other phases are completed. It's going to impact nearly every unit in the game, and every unit that suffers casualties in that turn, doesn't say where that casualty comes from, rolls a d6, adds that to the casualty count, and if that's greater than your leadership, then that unit is going to have additional numbers of models removed equal to that figure. Could be interesting for horde armies who typically have a lower leadership, but it sounds like there's going to be plenty of modifiers and boosts and buffs to aid those types of units. And that's pretty much it. There's no falling back anymore, there's no regrouping tests. Single models can't test because they can't lose any more than one. And there'll be, as I said, there'll be modifiers and rules to assist morale, specifically for horde armies and pieces of war gear and, you know, banners, and they shall know no fear, and fearless and fear and all those kind of mechanics we've had before will be incorporated into this kind of mechanic. So also this week, as I said, we've got Slime Arbo's rules. Now these are for 7th edition and not for 8th edition, so he still has his initiative figure, no movement stat and so on. And it's quite a fun little character. He's always been a bit of a fan favourite, so GW have stuck some rules up for him, which is great to see. So spinning back to more information about 8th edition, so we now know some more battlefield role information. So our traditional HQ troops, elite, fast attack, heavy support. We now have dedicated transport. Flyers specifically are a new addition to this kind of organisation as part of your detachment and force organisation. They've been separated out. They now don't fit into transports or elites or heavy support wherever they were before, which is going to be interesting and makes some more tactical choices within your limitations of your force organisation. So on the same information on the community page, we get to see 3 of these new force organisation charts. So we'll take a look at those in detail then. So we have the patrol detachment. We notice that immediately there are no command benefits here, so no command points. But this is your basic army build. I can't actually see the point of this one so far. I'm assuming that there may be some other rules that we have yet to see. But without any command point benefits and some, you know, some basic limitations to your armies, what's the point of it so far? Not quite sure. I guess we'll wait and see on that one. I guess the key point to note when it comes to the new detachments is that formations are officially a thing of the past. So I used to collect to a formation in many of my armies, and I'm now going to have to be collecting to detachments, which will provide a new modelling challenge for me and for everyone else. So we move up to the next size of force organisation, the battalion detachment. Now here, you know, they're still the same as limitations before, you know, we're talking all from the same faction, but this time if you take 2 to 3 HQs and 3 to 6 troops, we immediately get 3 command points. As to what those command points can be spent on, you know, we've had indication that could interrupt charge phases or offer re-rolls and so on, but we don't know what else that could lead into yet. But immediately, you know, two HQs I think is a little bit much for that. I'd still expect to see 1 because it's still a fairly low point army. But I guess you could combine other detachments and so on to it. But yeah, 3 command points could be pretty useful for such a low faction model count. We now move on to the largest one that they've released so far, the Brigade Detachment. Now this is quite a lot of models to fulfill this organisation. It's pretty big. We can see we're having to pick models from nearly every category except Flyers and Lords of War here. So 3 to 5 HQs, 6 to 12 troops, 3 to 6 elites, 3 to 5 fast attack, 3 to 5 heavy support, just to fulfill this minimum detachment. But it does score you a quite hefty 9 command points. But until we know the effectiveness of those command points and what sort of shenanigans you could play with your existing forces to force that kind of full brigade build, could be some min-maxing kind of trickery going on just to get those command points into your army. Be interesting to see the cheapest build you can do per faction for this, points wise, but you know, until we see the points we can't speculate there. But so far it does look quite a substantial army to get those command point benefits. But in the Q&A that we were offered, they did say there were 14 of these detachments coming in the core rulebook, so we can only guess that somewhere between 0 and 9 command points, and different options are going to be available. This does look like it would suit a bigger, fluffy, larger pointed game, which is going to be good. But it'd be interesting to see, you know, where we're going to get 1, 2, and 4 to 8 command points coming from, and whether we can theme and tailor to a pure elitist army, an Imperial Guard tank division, all using heavy support and so on. That could be really cool to see, and see what command benefits we can get from those, but we'll wait and see on that one. The final really good bit of information is how larger models are going to be handled. I for one have a big interest in this. I do have quite a large model collection with some of these big bad knights and so on, and some other bits and pieces that I haven't revealed on my channel yet. But we now know that there's going to be no super heavy or gargantuan classed models. We also know from the previous video that there's going to be no more strength D, and we can now see how we're going to be handling the degraded combat effectiveness of these large models that we were alluded to in the last week's set of information. So we can see here how damage is going to impact some of these bigger models. So the example given so far is of a Morkanaut. We can see first here 18 wounds. Now we've not seen something like that ever before, and we can see that movement, weapon skill and attacks are starred out, and we can see the impact as per damage. So until it's taken at least half of its damage, it's still going to maintain its full stat line, and then once it's taken half the damage, it's now going to be reduced by 2 inches in movement, by a point of weapon skill and 1 attack. And when it's on its last legs, down to 4 or less wounds remaining, it's now on half movement, its weapon skill is now a 5+, and its attacks are now halved as well, so really degrading impact and the more damage it takes. But obviously being toughness 8, with a 3-up save, and all those wounds, that's going to take a large amount of damage before you start really degrading its effectiveness. Even at half wounds, I mean a 6-inch move, 4+ and a 3 attack basic stat line is pretty immense for Morkanaut, and it's going to be cool to see how that's going to impact other tracked vehicles and so on, and then moving on to see how some of the larger vehicles are impacted, and different types and monstrous creatures and so on with their different types of stat line. That's going to be really cool to see. So that's pretty much concludes what happened in week 2 then, all looking positive in my opinion. I'm really excited for 8th edition now. The more information we get, the better it's looking in my opinion. It's looking like it could be a really slick game. All these changes are looking positive in my opinion. Unfortunately, I am not going to be able to do a video for next week. I am travelling with work and I'm going to be away for most of the week, and I'm also redecorating my hobby den. So that's been fully stripped out, and I'm currently sitting in a spare bedroom in front of my computer trying to get some content up for you guys to at least enjoy for this week. But yeah, my hobby room has been fully stripped out, and I'm looking forward to showing you the progress of that in a video hopefully for next weekend. the current state. So it's being fully redecorated, new floor, paint job, electrical works going on, and a brand new desk is going to be going in that a friend of mine is currently building, which is going to be really cool. Hopefully should boost my ability to do some more paint, some more videos, be in a far more comfortable environment to do some of this wonderful YouTube stuff, and more importantly get some paint on my own toy soldiers and get some games in, which is going to be good for me and stuff that I can share with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall catch you hopefully in a week.